Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I Wrong? And it's by user LimpCrazy1824. Am I wrong for ultimately wanting a divorce even after my wife had showed much more effort into our relationship? For context, coming into the new year, I had no idea my wife had been, at the bare minimum, having an emotional affair with a coworker. On New Year's Eve, before I found out about this, she came home and acted extremely cold toward me and our kids. She was angry. Earlier that evening, she asked if she could go out to have a drink with a female coworker, whom I knew and trusted. I told her that was cool, but the kids were staying up for the ball drop, so as long as she could be back to celebrate with them, I was fine with it. Well, she ended up getting off work at 11:30 and barely had enough time to get home. After the ball drop, she cried and cried. I asked her what was wrong, and she said she had been invited to her friend's house to have drinks with them. All three of them were women, all married. I had no issues with this. I said, "Look, I'm not sure what's wrong and why you're crying about this. That's fine. You deserve a girls' night out every once in a while. I don't mind watching the kids. Just go." I put the kids to bed and she left, and then about 3 hours later, so 3 a.m., I tried to contact her. No answer. I waited about 15 minutes, called her again. No answer. I call her friend, who she's supposed to be with. No answer. She then texts me back 5 minutes later and says, "Yeah, I'm still coming home tonight. We're still drinking." Never in our 6 years of marriage had I felt a gut feeling that something else was going on, but that night, it all hit me. I went through our phone records and found another number I was unfamiliar with that she had been in contact with all night, ignoring my calls, texting that number in between, etc. She had also been texting this number daily for a 3-month period. I never suspected that she would be texting another dude while right beside me watching family movies either, as the timestamps have shown. I have no idea how I didn't see this. Maybe she had this individual listed as mom on her phone. I don't know. I had never gotten this vibe or feeling in our entire marriage. I was blindsided by it. Anyway, I confronted her about it through text with the proof, like an idiot. She speeds home and deletes everything on her phone. There is no way of getting the backups restored. There is no way of ever knowing she did not meet up with this guy. Upon finding this out, I immediately told her I wanted a divorce. It was at this point she began getting violent with me. She started talking crap about everything I had been doing to keep us financially stable, about the 18-hour workdays that kept a roof over our heads. She told me that I needed to leave even though I paid rent and both our kids were asleep. I refused. We slept in separate rooms that night, and the next day she tried to act like nothing had happened, claiming that she remembered we'd fought but couldn't remember what it was about. So I showed her the phone records even though I'm positive she was just trying to pull some crap. She confesses who the individual was and says they flirted a lot but never met up. I told her if that were true, she'd have no issues restoring the text messages she deleted. At which point it was confirmed she deleted everything and deleted her last backup. She also saved a backup after they were deleted the night before went to shit. She also restored a backup before the one that was deleted the night everything went to crap. Since then, she's tried hard to convince me that they never did anything and never saw each other aside from work. I keep finding bits and pieces of things that don't make sense. Chunks of texts were deleted from her friends' messages around that time. Pictures on her Google Drive from that night, where she was with who she said she was, were deleted from her phone. For what reason? The most damning evidence I have is for a 2-hour period on New Year's Eve, they stopped texting each other, then randomly started texting again at around 3 a.m. when I started calling and got that feeling. My gut tells me she left her friend's place, went to his place, and went back. Or she went straight to his place from our place, then went to her friends when she found out I was calling them. There are revealing pictures of herself she never sent me also on her Google Drive taken on Snapchat. She's since given me all her attention, tried to initiate intimacy tenfold, and stopped texting. She shows me everything on her Snapchat and even downloads her data to show me she's not hitting other people up. I'm seeing the side of her I haven't seen since we were married all those years ago, but I can't help but trust my gut in demanding a divorce. I feel like she's kept things from me, not knowing for sure is killing me inside. My parents know all of this and keep pressuring me to work it out and not dwell. My brothers are saying, F that, get a divorce. Am I wrong in getting a divorce? Keep in mind the dates. It's now been over 4 months since this occurred. I'm positive she cut the individual completely out. But I still can't get over the not 100% knowing, and my gut tells me she's still lying. Well, OP, if cheaters have a pattern and have shown they are untrustworthy and liars, then yeah, she's still lying. If she wasn't hiding anything, why did she delete the text messages? Why are there gaps in her information? How come right after you confronted her with information, which, yeah, like you said, you shouldn't have done, but you did it, she rushed back home, started to gaslight you, and then the next morning acted like, well, I just can't remember what happening. Also, was she drinking and driving? Because that's incredibly irresponsible of her to do. And now that she's been caught, she's love bombing you, acting up all nice that nothing's going on here, you're just nuts. No, OP, I don't buy it for a second. Your parents sound like a couple of idiots. Your brothers are on point. So no, OP, I don't think you're wrong. I think you're making the right decision and you should stay on this until she comes clean. And after that, you execute. And what do you guys think about what OP is doing? What is your advice? Let me know in the comments section. And now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. The Gotek says she cheated and she still has Snapchat and still works with the guy? That ain't good, bro. No spanking allowed. Aw. Says she's love bombing you. She hasn't stopped with that guy, but love bombing will make you think you are all she thinks about. It'll slowly wind down to what it was before once she thinks she has you back to being clueless. She's met up with the guy, you know she did. Hell, there's enough here to make anyone believe she might have met up with him. What do you think she was crying about? She wanted to be with him for New Year's Eve. Take it from there. You don't know everything. You most likely never will. She'll just hide it better. And Brad Clay says, you might as well get divorced because she's clearly hiding crap and lying to you, as well as gaslighting you. You should have texted his number and said, hey, when you're done banging my wife, could you send her home please? She has children. I would personally kick her out and to tell her to go back to his place because her children don't need the S word for a mother. That's what women cheaters are. And OP responds, I'll be honest with you. The two main reasons I've tried to tough it out are 1, the kids, even though she pretty much said F all of us on New Year's Eve. And 2, for some reason, my parents have really been pressuring me to stay. It's effing with me and I don't know why. They keep reminding me that no one in this family has ever gotten a divorce, blah blah blah. They said I'll most likely never end up seeing my children again, even though in my state, if a spouse is found to have cheated, this essentially gives up their rights to children if a divorce is filed. I really don't understand how my own parents can sit there and feed me bullcrap stories about people they know that went through it and came out a better couple. Really feels like they're taking her side in everything that happened while ignoring every truth. OP's edit. This is all getting to me more now than the night I found out. It just keeps building. I feel stupid. OP's edit too. Also, I forgot to add this. The individual in question is an employee she manages, as in she is his direct supervisor. I've heard there are greater legal consequences for this, but I have no idea. I went back and looked at the timestamps for the pictures that were deleted of her and her friends that night on Google Drive. Before that 2-hour period of no texting, during and after, there were several pictures taken with verified timestamps on them, as in they cannot be changed on Google Drive. It's also worth adding, I come from a family that has thoroughly convinced one of my cousins that she needs to stay in her marriage even when her husband became solely reliant on her and got addicted to coke, is still addicted to coke and physically abused her. All because, by golly, no one in this family has ever gotten a divorce. So essentially, by doing so, I would get disowned by my parents, my sister, all my cousins, all my aunts, and my uncles, but would still have the support of my 2 brothers. Screw the rest. Your brothers are enough. For reference, our kids are 2 and 4 years old. On New Year's Eve, when she came home after work, our daughter ran up to her for a hug, and that's when she started crying. She then got really irritated when our daughter asked her for a drink, something that still doesn't sit right with me. She started yelling at her, saying, "Mommy needs some effing space." Later, when she came back rushing after I confronted her, she screamed so loud she ended up waking up both kids, and they had no idea what was going on. They came out of their rooms crying, and of course, I was blamed for that as well. Thank you for all the positive and negative input. The best thing I can do right now is just get through the work week, get my kids from daycare, and be mentally present for them. I've been ignoring her since last night, and she's been snapping and calling me all morning to see what's wrong. So the community agrees that OP is not wrong, that she's lying, she cheated, and OP should go forward with divorce. And from all the additional context that we got from OP, it sounds like that's what he's going to do, considering his family is trying to push him against it, for an incredibly stupid reason I might add. Anyways, let's move on to the first of 2 updates to see what happened next. I sit here typing this out on my morning break while listening to Tuesday's Gone by Lynyrd Skynyrd. After a long day of considering my options on Friday, I sat my wife down in the evening when she got off work, and I put the kids to bed. As soon as I brought up that my trust in her was completely gone, she immediately became argumentative and essentially stated, "I thought we had left this in the past. You never trusted me, did you?" I responded with, "Even if you didn't do anything physical or met up with him outside of work, you'd never let me see those text messages. You'll never pull the Snapchat data." She responded with, "You're right, marriage is based on trust, and if you don't trust me, then maybe we ought to call it quits." She actually said, and I quote, "I don't understand why you would want to read that crap. Even if you did something, I would want to forgive, forget, and move on." The irony is that I worked 18 to 19-hour days for the past few years, barely being able to do anything I wanted to do in my life because I was supporting our children, getting them to bed, cleaning the house all the time, doing all the cooking, and barely even getting enough sleep. The stress probably took years of my life. She, on New Year's Eve, said, "F the kids, F you," and essentially went out to party with her friends, all the while ignoring calls from me and our daughter asking where she was, while also responding to her bare minimum emotional affair partner. I'm not getting into all the details so as not to repeat myself, but long story short, in my state, we have to be separated for a year before a divorce can be finalized. When I agreed with her that we should start separating and that I had already been in contact with a lawyer, she freaked the F out on me. She begged me not to go through with it. But alas, next Friday, I will be dropping her off at her parents' a few hours away. The kids will be staying with me for now with the help of one of my brothers. I told her there was only one way I would put this off for now, and that was pull the data, pull the texts, prove your case. She looked down at the ground one more time and told me it was a violation of her privacy. We haven't spoken since. For now, for my kids, I gotta keep on keeping on. That was the update. It's over. She made her bed. She can sleep in it. She can live the rest of her life knowing she threw away a family man for some chump who can't even pay his own bills and lives with his parents still at the age of 30. OP's in-post update number 1. Trickle truth. First, it was a guy in a different state. Second, it was a co-worker. Third, it was someone underneath her that she supervises. Fourth, and just now, I randomly got a text from her stating she may have told him she loves him, but instantly regretted. And that's it.
Right.
Also, let me reiterate, the process of separation starts this coming Friday. In my state, you cannot divorce immediately. It takes a full year. In-post update number 2. She finally sent me a half-assed confession through Snapchat while I was at work the other day. I ended up saving all the videos where she explained it but did not screen record them. In turn, she deleted them all while I was sleeping. Figures. I was so exhausted when I got home that I didn't even think about it. When I got them, I was 25 feet up on an extension ladder, so I saved them in chat. She went through my phone while I was sleeping and deleted everything she confessed in the chat. So OP's done and he's gonna file for divorce, but in his state it takes a year to get it done. So let's now move on to the final update that is 1 month after this last update to see how the story ends. I filed for divorce against my family's wishes. We are separated, but the divorce can't be finalized until next year. 1 year of being separated is required. She begged and begged for me not to go through with it and begged me to stay, not to toss everything over one little mistake. Funny how she sees infidelity as a mistake that lasted 3 months. Yeah. Regardless, I've spent a lot of time with my kids. She sees them on weekends if she chooses. It has only been a couple of times. I'd love to say that I'm over it all, but I'm still healing. I really did love her, and I wish things had worked out differently. But I can never trust her again. She tried everything she could sexually to get me to stay. Hell, the day she finally confessed everything, I came home to her dressed up like never before, ready to go. I declined. She went as far as offering me head every day for the rest of our lives if I stayed. I've been working and taking care of the kids. If I'm being honest, it's harder on them than it is on me. They still don't understand. I've just been telling them Mommy has some things she's working on. I don't have the heart to tell them we won't be a functional household anymore at this time. Also, my parents haven't one time talked to reach out to me since I told them I was filing for divorce. Not even to check on my kids or anything. But I've been making this work with the help of my brother and a few good friends. A few girlfriends from the past have contacted me to see if I want to catch up, but I need to focus on myself and my kids. Thank you all for reaching out through DMing and commenting. Peace, peace, peace. OP's edit. To clarify, people are asking about the 3 months. I have records proving she heavily texted him for 3 months straight, thousands of times a month. If I'd checked sooner, I'd have known, but nothing was amiss in our home life until New Year's Eve. She also admitted through a Snap video sent to me that she kissed him one time, but instantly regretted it. It meant nothing. It's not like when you and I kiss. I feel a deep connection. I get butterflies every time you touch me. I effed up. I really effed up, and I'm sorry I did this to you. If you need a divorce, I understand, but I really want to give this another shot to start fresh. On another note, for those of you asking me about the friends she met up with on New Year's Eve, do you want to hear a real kicker? Those friends ended up going on an all-girls trip 2 weeks ago. Only one of them is actually single. The other 4 that went are all married or engaged. Only one of those 4 went home when they realized what kind of girls' trip it was going to be. One of them, who ended up cheating, placed a hidden camera in her apartment to monitor her husband. After she had gotten with some random guy at a club and they'd all gone back to their Airbnb, she tried to check on her husband with the camera. He found it and unplugged it. Had also blocked her on Snapchat and stopped sharing his location. I've spoken with him once since then. Apparently, his wife knew that my wife had started talking to her affair partner. Now, his wife is also begging him not to go through a divorce. Yeah, his wife cheated and then had the nerve to get mad at him for unplugging the camera. What the heck is really going on in this world today? When my wife and I were trying to work things out, before I found more and more evidence, she'd been feeding my wife a bunch of lies about things I hadn't been doing. Fake Facebook comments and things of that nature. Even though things are over, I still find out more and more crap about her best friend I didn't even know was going on. Well, OP, considering all that crap about the best friend, I'm gonna count this as a positive, almost happy update when you get there, because you've started the process and you know where you're going. Just focus on yourself and your kids. And on that note, I'm gonna wish you guys the best in the future. Take care and thank you for sharing. And now let's finish this video with a really quick mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge and it's by user Sunlit Flowers. Person held up the lift, so I pressed the lift button on every floor on the walk down. Was about to take a bunch of rubbish and press the button for the lift. Nothing happens for a few minutes and I can hear people talking from the floor above where they must be holding up the lift. I pressed the button a few more times, which they must have heard because I could follow half their conversation. Still no movement in the lift. After a few more minutes, I get impatient and take the stairs instead. Managed to press the lift button on each floor whilst juggling my bin bags. By the time I made it down and had thrown away all my rubbish, I got the satisfaction of seeing the lift stop at the last 2 floors and someone walking out with a very annoyed look on her face. Well, OP, it is absolutely petty and so satisfying. Thank you for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.